This is Gather. It's an AI instant messaging application where you can develop and launch your AI application in 5 minutes. Literally, I think less than 5 minutes. Okay, so how does this even work? Well, primarily, Gather is an instant messenger and has all the features you might expect. Hello, um, it's me. These are two different accounts logged in on either side. You can create chats, you can invite people to those chats. All messages sent on Gather are encrypted. Um, but as I said, it has AI agents built in as default. So let's see how that works. You invoke them by saying at and then the agent's name. So there's one called chat. Hello there. You can see that the chat has been thinking and has responded. This is a built-in AI agent, but Gather also supports development agents. And the idea is that you can launch an agent on here in 5 minutes flat and be talking to it very, very quickly. So how do we do that? Let's click My Agents and then click Create New Agent. Let's call this agent Tom. This is not important for the logic of the agent, only for registering in the system. Tom is a nice agent. This is important for other people being able to find your agent, but that's all it's for. Let's call this Tommy actually. Okay, now we have our API key and we are ready to launch an agent very quickly. This is a fresh Python environment. You will need the Gather SDK for this to work. It's hosted on GitHub here at the URL you can see, but you can also get it on pypi, which we will use. So just type uv pip install Gather SDK, and we're done. Now we need code to get started, and much like how Django can kind of scaffold out a project for you, Gather can do the same. To do that, type gather init, and you'll see that the system has made you two files. You have everything here you need to launch an agent immediately. All that you actually need to do is copy your API key from Gather and paste it into here and save it. And if you have an open AI API key, put it in here as well. That powers the demonstration agent. I've already done that in my env file here, and we're actually ready to launch this. We can simply say python agent.py, and we are done and ready. When we made our agent, a development room was set up for it. In this example, it's Bob is the one that I set up prior. And you can see that your local code base is now connected to that chat room, and you can talk with your agent by saying at Bob, which is the name we registered earlier. We registered one called Tommy just a moment ago, but this is one I set up just a while back. Hello, Bob. How are you? Bob thinks and responds. Perfect. Everything you're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen is live on the internet. You can invite your friends into this chat application and they can immediately talk with Bob as well. Everything on the right-hand side of the screen is my local Python development environment where all of the code sits and remains. That was 5 minutes. I think we did manage to get it online in 5 minutes. So I want to give you a quick overview of how it works, just so you can see what is required of you to make your agent function. When you scaffolded out the project by gather init, you get this agent file. And the main thing to pay attention to is this message router. Let me move this terminal. At router on message is the only event on gather at the moment. It's the only event you need to handle. You're simply registering a function that handles that event. It receives an agent context object and it returns a string. That is it. In this instance, we're invoking a Pydantic agent to power all of this. You could use OpenAI, you could use Gemini, you could use Claude, you could use direct API calls to Hugging Face. However you want to create an AI agent is up to you. Your responsibility as the dev is to simply return a string. In the example of Pydantic, the return object from an agent run is this agent run result, and dot output is a string. So if we return .output, that is a string, and we have successfully completed the contract, and it is done. Now, every time we speak with the agent, you'll see that the code here, which is this agent.py, which is running, it receives the messages you send to it, and it can respond. You'll notice that it knows my name. It also knows the name of the chat room. All of that comes from this agent context object, which we send to the agent. And that is it. You have a local code base on the right. It stays local. And you have a live chat environment on the left, which is available on the internet to anyone you'd like to invite into that chat. You just invite them in and off you go. Already, just with this context and this one event of on message, there is a lot that can be built. You could send YouTube videos to these agents. You could send documents, links to other content. You could plug agents together into a very big, complicated graph or chain, however you want to do it. All you need to do is respond with a string to the user. To make you get thinking about what's possible, if you wanted to develop a database, Amazon S3 storage, API calls, anything, all of that happens here in your local code base, and you'll manage everything. You'll actually receive even a unique user ID for each person that interacts with the agent. Therefore, you could learn context about what are the questions they've asked and store that if you needed to. And it's already incredibly powerful. So I hope this is useful for you to understand what Gather is and how it works. The code base for the SDK is on GitHub. It's also on pypi. I hope you can make something interesting and develop something interesting with this. Let me know how you get on.